Welcome everyone, Satnam. Welcome to Healing B, episode 15. I'm really excited to be back. And now it's something new because I added this video for it. And before we get into it, this is a really good example of life. I had just recorded this episode. It was probably like 45 minutes, you guys, and somehow only 5 minutes of it got saved, and it wasn't even the beginning of it. It was like pretty much almost to the end. But here I am, doing this again with a big smile on my face. So, let's recap. Welcome to Healing B with Rukmani. This is my name, Rukmani. Episode 15. Today we're talking about Kundalini Awakening. And first of all, I want to thank you all for the ones that have been listening to my podcast all this time, all the previous ones through SoundCloud. It means a lot to me. It means a lot because I began to do the podcast to share and to spread my message about awakening. Especially sharing because what I was going through seemed a little crazy at that moment. Now I completely get it. But at the moment, it was a little crazy. And I wanted to reach out to people to let them know that everything's going to be okay. And even though I was struggling through my life, there was something within myself that was completely trusting. And it all comes down about trusting your path and trusting life. So here I am. Now we're doing a video, which I'm really excited about. You can see my face. Hopefully sometime I can see yours too. But so we're talking about Kundalini Awakening. Again, the main reason why I'm talking about this is because when my Kundalini energy showed up in 2016, I didn't have anyone to talk about this. And I didn't know what was going on. I was going through my first Kundalini yoga teacher training. And although it was briefly touched upon, or maybe it was touched upon when I skipped. Because I skipped like half a day to go to a concert. I didn't get it. And it was tough. It was really tough. My world just went like, actually, and I was like, this is what happened. But it was okay, it was meant to happen. So before I go into a little bit of my story, I just want to share some things that I've been reading a lot and doing a lot of research. Not only about just Kundalini yoga, because that's one of the yoga modalities that I teach and completely has my heart because it's literally what helped me a lot throughout this process, the awakening process. I'm not just saying it was only Kundalini yoga, but it was mainly Kundalini yoga. And it still does, but there's this stigmatism about Kundalini awakening being so bad and harmful. And I was reading something that Yogi Bhajan said about Kundalini Awakening. And if you don't know who Yogi Bhajan is, he's the Kundalini master that brought Kundalini Yoga into the States from India. And he said that when people say that, it's out of ignorance, that they have no idea what it actually is. And if we wanted to see life, there's always a yin and yang. When there's something very positive, there's also something that is seen as very negative. Just like when, there could be, let's take Brad Pitt, right? So somebody can completely adore Brad Pitt, somebody else can completely hate him, and it's the same person, it doesn't even change. It's just the perception of some of us, one can be really jealous of his presence, while the other one could be like very grateful of it. And so it just depends. And in my opinion as well is that when somebody's saying that, they have no idea what they're talking about because they haven't experienced it. And the thing is that I haven't really looked online a lot now about Kundalini Awakening, but when my energy first went up 3 years ago, I was looking up. I was like, what the fuck is this? I go, what do I do? You know, and there was nothing that explained some of my experience, or they were saying like methods of how to go through it. It was just saying, explaining, oh, this is something esoteric that supposedly can happen and whatever. Somebody can reach the state of enlightenment. And I was like, well, this doesn't help me. So then I just began to trust. You know, like the Kundalini energy is dormant at the base of the spine where our coccyx is, like a little tailbone, right? And when it's ready to wake up, it wakes up. And it's not that you can be like, yo, go back to sleep. It wakes up and it begins to break codes and programmings in the system for that system to remember the truth. And it depends, you know, it could be really intense, or it could be something very subtle, depending on your lineage, depending on your heritage, or where you come from, not just in this lifetime but others. You know, where have you been? And in my case, it was quite intense. But it was quite intense because I didn't know what was happening, and I was fighting it. I was fighting the change. And you can't really fight it, you know? So when the change is like blooming, and you're like, oh, stay there, it just wants to come up more. And I didn't think I was ready to take a step in my growth. And I was holding on so tight to the life I had. But inside I knew. Inside I knew that I was meant for something else. Not something more, something else. Because we always have everything at our fingertips. It's just your perception, if that's better or worse or whatever. Wind. I live in the countryside, and it's beautiful. It's very peaceful. So many flowers and birds, and the wind is just beautiful. Anyways, going back to the Kundalini Awakening. So the energy shoots up when you're ready, right? So one of my teachers said, be careful what you wish for. Because if you're wishing to truly know who you are, to release all these programmings and codes, and then it gets there and you're like, whoa, slow down. I don't want to deal with this right now. Well, hello, you asked for it, so why are you complaining about this? And the main thing is, as humans, we like to skip, right? So rather than enjoying the journey, we tend to like, can we just get there? It's almost a trip, right? You can either take the plane, take the bus, whatever, if there's a train, or drive. And depending on what you choose, one is going to be longer than the other one, right? So of course, normally, the plane is faster. So we like to take the planes because we'll get there faster. We don't have to deal with anything else. We don't have to deal with other cars. We don't have to deal with if there's other trains. We don't have to deal with traffic unless there's traffic in there somehow. So that's what we like to do. We like to go faster, and we just like to get to that point, to the destination point, and we're completely missing what's in between, which is the most important stuff and the most beautiful things, because it's showing you're growing and you're releasing things and you're coming back to your true essence. Nice. So when you're asking you want to wake up, or that you really want to experience your absolute truth and live that 24/7, take in consideration what you're asking, and know that if you're in point A and let's say your final destination is point B, shed needs to be cleared. Perhaps little shed, or perhaps a lot of shed. And imagine, right, so in between these 2 points, there might be a really intense rocky road. There might be hills super high up, or just medium, or holes that are so deep, or even just little ones. But that's all in between this. All this needs to be cleaned and cleared, right? So the pipes must be cleansed in order for this to happen. Because otherwise, you can just be like, ooh, bloop, I'm enlightened. Oh, good Lord, thank you. I mean, maybe, who knows? But normally, it gets cleansed. So this is what the Kundalini energy does. It cleanses you, right? So it burns all the impurities and it starts to break all these codes and programmings from your system. So your system can go back to the true essence and remember and live its truth. So when my Kundalini energy went up, like I knew something was happening because I was already practicing Reiki. I wasn't a Reiki master yet, but I think it was Reiki 2 or something, and I have always been very sensitive to energy. So I sat down on the bed and I immediately felt it move up. And it burned. It burned so much. I'm not sure if any of you have been actually burned with fire. I've only been burned like the skin, but not with fire, with something hot. And it's not fun. It's not fun being burned like that, but I felt like there was literally a fire moving from the bottom of my spine all the way up, and it burns and it hurt, but I couldn't do anything. I was just still, and rather than freaking out, I trusted, because something inside of me was like, hey, this is okay. This is okay. In just 1 second. I gotta make sure something is happening. No. Okay. I had to make sure that it was still recording because it wasn't recording last time. Like I had explained before. So, thanks for your patience. So I showed up. That's the first thing that happened. And see, I'm not saying this for you to put that idea in your head that that's how it might happen to you, but this is my experience and that's why I can share it with you. It showed up and it wasn't quick. If it would have been like a second or two, like, oh, thank goodness, all right, you're good. But no. It showed up in like the slowest way possible. And it was burning everything. Trust me, you guys, that I had a lot of baggage. Not only for this lifetimes, like previous lifetimes, but also for my family. And it was burning it all. So, it showed up. And then there's the Yin and the Pingala, the feminine and the masculine energy. They move like this, right? So if you want to see it like a snake, it moves like a snake. And at a point that intersects is normally what a chakra is, one of the major chakras. So then my body started to move like that. And I had no control over it because I was in a trance. But as it was moving, I was hearing some of my friends talking about me and how they felt about me. And that was one of the first times that I heard something like that. And yeah, the next day I couldn't move. I could walk, but I just wanted to lay down. And if I touched around my spine, just kind of like a little ding ding, it was like it had been burned really bad. So I had to chill for a couple days, and even still I didn't even know. My husband at the time was trying to give me a massage there, and I was just crying. I was just crying because it was painful. It was very painful. And I freaked out a little, like I was saying, I was trying to do a little research about Kundalini Awakening and the energy, and there was nothing that I was finding. Perhaps my research was really poor at that time, but nothing was resonating with me. And I wanted somebody there physically to tell me, you're going to be okay, this is normal. And this is why I'm doing this, in case some of you are going through this. But so, the fire burned, and that's when my life just began to change. Began to change because this is the major turning point. The major turning point that I had been asking for so many years, because some of you have listened to my previous podcast and know a little bit about my story, but when I was going through depression, I reached a point in the depression that I was like, well, life doesn't have It can't just be about suffering, you know, there has to be something better because I was suffering so much. It's like there has to be more to life than this. And I kept searching and searching and searching. That's why I got into yoga, I got into meditation, I got into Reiki, Diksha, internet, like you name it. There were so many things because I was like, okay, this is working. All right, I'm going to continue to do this and I can share that with others because I know when I was depressed, no way, I wasn't talking to anyone and I was like faking it so well. I was faking it so well that I was happy and I wasn't. And that creates more damage in a system to fake everything and keep it in. So I was damaging myself more. Now, when this Kundalini thing happened, like I was saying, I didn't know. Like, part of my mind was confused. I was like, what is happening? The other part is like, hey, this is good. And that was mostly my heart. But I began to trust more. I began to trust more because my intuition was stronger. The telepathy with others began to be stronger. The channeling about other things began to just like come through. And I was fascinated by all those things. I was like, whoa, this is quite awesome. We have the power to do this? What? But then I had to change my environment, and that's what is the hardest thing, right? So if you're going through any of this, and then you know that you're in a situation that doesn't longer serve you, and you're like holding it in so tight, you're like, no, I don't want to die, just go. It's gonna hurt more. It's gonna hurt more. Trust me, I've been there. It's gonna hurt more because you're not trusting your path, and you're not trusting the divine to help you go through all this, to help you to get to the destination that you have been asking for. So like all these things need to clear, like we were saying, in between A and B, all that garbage needs to go and it needs to be cleansed for you to experience what you truly want to experience, right? And then when we hold onto something so tight, we're not allowing things to flow or to come through. Beep, beep. And imagine it's not the life goes like, oh, this is cool. Oh, this is cool. I'm gonna grab it and take it with me, because they would just be heavy. It wouldn't even move as or flow as much as it does, right? And as human beings, we like to hold on to things. You know, we like to be like, this is mine. No, don't have this. Or like, what are you doing? Like that will be mine. Or oh, that's yours. Okay. You know, we like to like place labels onto things, and it's not that when we live this life, we're going to take all those physical stuff with us. We're not. So let go of the tightness. You know, so like I was saying, we like to be in control. And we like to drive and have hold of the steering wheel so hard. And be like, no, I'm going to go this way. But life wants you to go this way. So you're like, oh, I'm going to go this way. But life is like, no, you're going to go this way. And the more you're in this, is the more that you suffer, because again you're not letting go of the control and you're not trusting. And this life is about trusting your path and flowing with life. And you know, life goes in waves, and of course in the peak of the waves you can be like so blissful and so happy, and at the end it's like, oh dear God, what's happening? And you go through these motions, right? But without the bottom ones, we wouldn't really, what is this word? We really wouldn't appreciate so much the top and the happiness, right? So if you don't experience anger, how can you know what love is? It's like the opposite. But then I truly believe that you will reach a point, and we have the capacity to reach a point where we're just on the top of the waves. It doesn't mean that the lower waves don't happen, but we're not reactive. And trust me, I'm not perfect. I react. But it's not as much as I used to. And I don't punish myself, right? This is where compassion comes into play. I don't punish myself and be like, oh, you silly person, why did you do that? Why did you say that? Why did you write that? No. I'd be like, okay, I did it. I forgive myself. Please forgive me. And I'm going to work in this. It's because I don't want to be like this. and because I know I can be in control of my emotions and listen to them, pay attention to them, and do what is best. You know, thinking with a neutral mind and acting with a neutral mind rather than acting with the negative or just positive. And that's the one thing, you guys. So first is, of course, trusting your path. And this could be really difficult for some humans, you know. I mean, gosh, it was really difficult for me at times. And sometimes I still have that little seed that like, oh, don't trust. And I'm like, you stay there. I'm going to be here. I'm going to trust. So trusting, having compassion for yourself, because this is a big process. And it's a gift. Oh my goodness, you guys, it's a gift. It's a gift that we give ourselves. Wow. Because we're waking up to our true powers. We are breaking out of this codes and programmings to shine our true light and live the truth, you know? Truth being the identity, Sat Nam. How beautiful is that? And when those things open up, you can't go back to being the same person. I couldn't go back to be the same person. I was seeing life with completely different eyes, even though the eyes hadn't changed. You know, just the eye was opening up even more. So trusting, having compassion for yourself. Because again, about the compassion, sometimes we can be so quick about looking at other people, be like, oh my goodness, I have so much compassion for you and I'm here for you and stuff. What about you? You are the number one person in your life. And you must take care of yourself first before you can take care of others. Ooh. So, compassion, you're the number one, and knowing that nothing lasts forever. So the waves, right? Like I was saying about the waves, when you're down, you're going to go back up. And when you go back up, it can go down. But again, it's about like, how do you react this time? Do you trust it more? Or are you just going to freak out again? Because everything is always trying to talk to you. Even the lowest waves, they're always trying to talk to you. You get triggered for a reason because something within you is being like, oh, I must get up. I must get out of here. And if we fight it, if we're just like, no, I don't want to talk about this and whatever, it's just staying in there. But that little seed wants to come out, to be released, and for you to go back to your true essence, right? Your truth. Sat Nam. I love saying that. And yes, trusting. This is a big thing. And I really love this, I think it's a quote, but I would probably say completely wrong, so I'm just going to say it my way, about the arrow. So when the arrow is being pushed backwards, it's being pushed backwards for a reason, so when it lets go, it just goes like, and then there is this beautiful thing happening because life takes you where you had no idea or you couldn't have ever imagined where you were going to be at, but it takes you there. So that's what happens in those waves, you know, the lower waves. You get pushed back. You feel like, I was just here. What is happening? I was just here. So how do we get there? But the moment that we let off this control and we're like, okay, fuck it, you shoot up, completely up. And that's what you had been asking for, if that's what you were asking for. That's what I was asking for. So it's about trusting. And the main thing is, like I was saying, it's such a gift. It's such a gift. That fire that happened inside of me when the Kundalini energy went up, it broke so many shells. And I began to go into trances to release things physically from my physical body. It was really intense. But it doesn't mean that your awakening will be as intense as mine. You know, it could be super peaceful. It just like really depends on where you come from in life, what you came here to break out of. And you know, I was born and raised in Peru. There was a lot that happened in that country. There was a huge massacre that happened during the Tawantinsuyo, the Inca Empire, that it's not really talked about very much. Because it's just said in history, when I was growing up, it's like, oh, the Spaniards came and they brought, I don't know, whatever, horses, corn. Probably wasn't corn. I don't know, whatever, I'm just making things up. But this is how it was perceived in my life, because it's like, oh, cool, they brought Spanish. The thing is, they don't talk about how difficult it was for the people that were there. And for so many years, the people in the mountains, the ones that speak Quechua, which is what was spoken also in the Inca Empire, were treated like crap because they were seen as inferiors. The white-skinned people were seen as better than the indigenous people. And this is also a code that is in the human system, that somehow the ones that have lighter skin are better than the ones that have darker skin. And they don't talk about also what happened to the children, what happened to women, how many people were massacred there. The pain of watching everybody dying like that, of your own empire, of your own community being massacred like that. They don't talk about this. And that was in my cell, what was in my system, that I had to break out of free from my family. Perhaps somebody else in my family will have to do it as well. But this is why my awakening and some of my trances were really intense. But who knows, maybe if you are born or were born in some part of South America that was part of it that went into you, maybe you will have to go through that, maybe not. It just really depends, I remember I shared this video about one of my trances and somebody says like, ooh, I'm not ready for that, that's too scary. The thing is that as intense as my trances have been, I was never scared. Never. There was only once. And that was when the Kundalini energy was moving up my throat. And I felt that I had this huge, ginormous bow in my throat trying to come out. And I freaked out. And that's when my physical body was like, yo, you relax. You relax, because if you freak out, then it's going to be even worse. It's just like anything in life, right? So if you're fearful of something, so let's say you're fearful of heights, or you're not really fearful of heights, but you're kind of like, and you're hiking this big mountain, and you put a little seed in your system that like, oh, heights are bad. And you start to reach the top, and you start to look down, and you begin to freak out until you start to hyperventilate because you're just like, oh, this is way too fucking much. It's the same thing. So if we fight something, that thing persists and persists and persists and persists, and it's gonna suck until we relax and it lets go. So that's why I trust, and then I trust, and that's the main thing. So the main thing about this video, this podcast about Kundalini Awakening, is that first of all, you ask for it, and when it wakes up, it's because you're ready for it. So rather than fighting it, embrace it, because it's doing you a favor, and it's the most beautiful gift ever besides your life. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. And remember that it does, like the bad times, they're not so bad. They teach you something. If you tune in into the energy when they're trying to speak to you, rather than going in the transition of pain and fear, and you trust it, you're like, oh, this is what you're trying to tell me, okay. Like it will leave your system, you're like, oof, thank goodness. And another thing is to remember that when we have those emotions that seem negative, are not good for the system, because it gets stored in every part of you, every single cell. So codes are being broken, and by all of us. There is this ginormous shift happening in the entire world. People are waking up, people are stepping up to their powers, and when one code gets broken in one system, it's not that it just works for that system, it works for everybody else, because we are a ginormous system together as a unity. So it's like the domino effect. So this person breaks one code, boom, this person breaks the same code, and it starts to break like this until we're like, whoa. And that's why you can relate with some people that have gone through that, because you're like, oh my god, thank God. And then you will start to attract those people that are going through the same thing, or they have gone through that already, they'll be like, it's normal. You relax, it's normal, you'll be okay. That's the thing, we're okay, and we're going to be okay. So embrace it. Embrace your power. It's your power. It is such a beautiful energy that we all have inside, that we can all tune into that can cleanse us. You know, it's literally cleansing us, cleansing the system, so we can be the angelic beings that we are, so we can guide others, support them, and let them know that they're going to be okay. And you're going to be okay. You're okay. And if you need anything, if you want to talk about any of this, like I said, this is why I'm doing this, because I didn't really have anyone to talk about this. And of course, I'm very grateful that I didn't, because it made me really strong, and it made me figure out little things and turn it into my own system. But we have this beautiful red? No, that's Spanish. Grid. We have this beautiful grid of information. We have social media that we can connect with each other, and we don't have to write long letters and wait 3 months to get to one place and then 3 months to get back to you. We can just talk like this in an instant, and we can support each other regardless of actually knowing each other or having met each other physically. And that's such a beautiful gift as well. So it's beautiful, you guys. And if you're going through this, I applaud you, because you're doing the job, and it's felt deeply, deeply, deeply in my system. Like, my job, my work is being felt really deeply in all your systems. And thank you so much again for watching. If you like talk about anything, or if you need some kind of support, I'm here for you. I'm here for you, like I know you're also there for me, and for that I'm deeply, deeply grateful. Thank you so much. I'll be talking to you next week. Sat Nam.